And welcome to what we're calling Happy Hour with the Ducks, brought to you by Pepsi. I'm Rob Mosley, editor of GoDucks.com. Thanks for joining us again. Maybe some of you were with us with Oregon women's basketball coach Kelly Graves a couple weeks ago, previewing the WNBA draft. Just a way for us to foster a sense of connection with you guys out there. We miss seeing all the fans out there at what now would be baseball and softball games and soon track meets. And we know how important Oregon athletics is to so many of you too. So we sure don't want to lose that sense of community that we all appreciate so much. So thank you for joining us tonight. I hope everybody's happy and healthy and hunkering down and getting through this the best they can. Obviously, we all want to return to normalcy as soon as humanly possible. So if we can just, I guess, keep grinding through this a little bit, hopefully we'll get closer and closer every day. Today, we are talking with Oregon men's basketball coach Dana Altman. Recently celebrated 10 years since being hired with the Ducks. It's been just 10 years of phenomenal success. Coach, thank you for joining us. How are you holding up through this crazy time?
Usual, but my wife and I are doing fine. We have three of our children here in town, and a son-in-law and a granddaughter, and everybody's doing great.
You look for silver linings in times like this. So more time with family, at least try to appreciate that. I know my dog appreciates all the extra walks. Hopefully we can all make the best of that. Are you finding you're able to do that with your family?
Absolutely. Reva and I get to watch our granddaughter on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Audra's a nurse, and Danny's an accountant, and so been great on Monday, Wednesday, Friday because Jade's over here, and we get to watch her all day.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, right now you would be able to do some. Hopefully, you'd be about a month removed from the end of your season that you played into April, but you'd be able to do some individual workouts now with your guys. So how are you able to stay in touch with them? What are they able to do right now? The returning players that you're going to have for next season.
Well, we're really missing this time. It's a great time for individual workouts and working out with our guys and development. I think it's a very important time. Unfortunately, a lot of our guys don't have gyms to work out in, and so they're not able to work out and spend enough time, in the gym. The arena's closed here on campus, and a lot of them back home are having a hard time finding a gym to work out in. So it's not ideal. I'm emphasizing that I hope they're staying in shape. So when the gyms do reopen and we get a chance to go back to work, that they'll be ready to go. But right now they're a little frustrated because they're not having the opportunity to work on their game.
We spoke the other day. You did mention you think you've got enough returning guys and veteran guys and mature enough guys that they know if they can get to a hoop and work out, they know what they need to work on in their games. They know areas where they can improve, and you feel like they're equipped to put themselves through drills and whatnot that can help them improve if they have that opportunity.
Absolutely. No, we've got a good core group, and they're all workers. I know when they get an opportunity, they're going to spend time in the gym and spend time working out. But Chris Duarte, senior, Eugene, senior, Eric, a redshirt junior. We got a lot of vets. Will, he'll be working out all the time. I know when he gets an opportunity, he'll work out. CJ Chandler, Luke, Dante. I don't have any doubts. Addison, back in Toronto. All the guys, they'll want to work out. It's just getting them a gym to work out, and they know what to do. They're vets. They'll put the time in. They know our drills. They know our shooting drills. I'm sure they'll put the time in.
It's awesome to run through all those names, and it's so many familiar names, and to hear and to know that so many of those familiar guys are coming back. Let's look in the rearview mirror just a little bit longer, though. First of all, you just passed that 10-year milestone since coming on staff here at Oregon. Congrats on that, and it's been amazing, an amazing run of success, obviously, in those 10 years. do you reflect? I mean, did that milestone or any other point in time cause you to reflect back? Do you have, memories that really stick out from the last 10 years that you appreciate most?
Well, I've really enjoyed the 10 years. First and foremost, I've had an unbelievable staff to work with. Tony Stubblefield's been great. Been here all 10 years. Josh Jameson, our ops guy, is invaluable to our staff. He works as hard or harder than anybody on our staff, and he's done a tremendous job for 10 years. And previous, he was, on Ernie's staff, and he really helped us make the transition. And so he's been so important in so many ways. Kevin McKenna's been with me, a long time at Creighton and here, almost 20 years now. And then Mike joined us 5-6 years ago. So, having that consistency, Tony 10 years, Josh 10 years, and Kevin now 20 and 10 here. And now Mike, when Brian Fish got the head job at Montana State, Mike came in and has really helped us. So we've got a great staff. And so when you look back over the 10 years, those are the guys every day that you're in contact with. And then the most important part of it, we've had really good players. We've had great guys to work with. And, going all the way back to that first year, Jovan saved us, man. We were struggling, and Jovan Catron just kicked tail, man. He played great. And EJ Singler, Garrett, and DeVoe Joseph, Olu Ashlew came in, Johnny Lloyd. Man, you think back, and we just had a lot of, really good players that have come in, and those guys got us started. And, Joe Young kept us going, Elgin Cook, Chris Boucher, Dylan, Jordan, Casey Benson, Tyler Dorsey. I mean, there's so many names, I'd forget them all if I tried to name them all. But all those guys added so much to our program, and then Payton here for 4 years. And, everybody, added such a big part to it, and they've been great to work with. I'm not a big yeller and screamer, and, I want guys that want to play, want to compete, and want to bring it every day. And we've been really fortunate. We've had guys that love basketball and want to be part of the team, and we've had some success because of that.
It's cool to see your smile grow bigger and bigger as you were going through that list of names. Clearly, all those guys mean a lot to you, so that was cool to see. Payton, kind of the last name you mentioned, the most recent guy, and he's coming off a really special year, and you guys as a whole are coming off a really special year. How do you balance in your head? I'm sure there's some frustration wondering of what might have been at the conference tournament and then the NCAA tournament, but you did accomplish so much. As you weigh the 2019-20 season in its totality, how do you consider it? Is it more frustrating that what might have been, or are you able to appreciate what you guys did accomplish?
Oh, definitely more appreciate, what the guys did. It's kind of funny, everybody talking about how they were ready to make a run in the tournament. It's kind of easy to say when you don't have to go play the games, but
Yeah.
our guys proved it. We went in the league, and we also won our last 4 games, and Dante was getting healthy, and so I thought we had a chance to to make a run also. But like I said, it's easy to say because you don't have to go play the games. But our guys did a tremendous job throughout the year, and we had a great leader in Payton, and we had a bunch of guys that allowed him to lead. That's really important, Rob. The unselfishness that our guys showed, to allow Payton to do what he did, and the camaraderie, the guys, the playing for each other. You don't win a league title because you go January, February, and March. You got to go through a 2.5-month period there to win the league. And our guys showed that they could do that and stayed together. And I'm just really, really proud of them. And everybody, like I said, in America is saying, well, we could have made a run. And it's easy to say when you don't have to go play the games. But our guys, were playing pretty good, and I liked our chances as much as anything.
Yeah, I think the rest of the senior class, Anthony and Shakur, I mean, what those guys provided, in only 1 year, I think everybody appreciated them leaving their mark in the 1 year. But I don't think anybody's going to forget anytime soon the impact Payton had and the year he had, and just the way he proved himself as a big time shot maker and scorer, which I think for a lot of fans maybe hadn't seen that side of his game. Certainly not that consistently. But he's ramping up now, and people are talking he could be a late first round draft pick. Um, can you say, upon reflection, that you saw that coming? I mean, you more than almost anyone know how much work he put in and how much pride he put in the drill work he does, which we're seeing now. He's putting out on social media. Can you say now you saw that kind of a year coming in hindsight from Payton?
Well, it's what you hope for. You love to see guys develop and continue to improve. And because of his work ethic, I knew the opportunity would be there for him to make that big of a jump. Um, you know, but you got to go out and you got to have teammates, that'll support you. You got to have you got to be fortunate and stay healthy. And Peyton never missed a game. He was healthy the whole time, and so you hope that a young man that puts in that much effort and that much time and spends 4 years with you will make that kind of development. And to have the kind of year that he had, first team All-American, player of the year, Pac-12, was the player of the year in some, people's view. And, to lead a team to a Pac-12 championship, those are the kind of things that, you hope for a guy. And, you look back, he was on as a freshman. He took us to Final Four and Sweet 16 last year as a junior, and this year a conference championship. And so we've won a lot of ball games with him, and he's been a part of a lot of big wins. And so he's had a great 4-year career. And watching these highlights, man, he's going to be tough to replace. But that's always a challenge, to replace good players, and we've had to replace a bunch of good ones over the years, whether it's E.J. Singler, Jovan going all the way back, and Joe Young, Dylan Brooks. We've had 3 players of the year, with Joe Young and Dylan, and now Peyton. And but we've had a lot of good players we've had to replace. And fortunately, we've got guys in the pipeline that want to be part of something special, and I think we'll work awfully hard and do a great job also.
Yeah, Peyton, it's going to be a tough act to follow, but as we were hinting at earlier, you've got a lot of familiar names, and I thought it was kind of on a different level. I mean, Peyton obviously took kind of the nation by storm winning the Bob Cousy Award, but Will Richardson kind of took a similar kind of jump, and his confidence in stepping up and taking tough shots in tough moments, pressure situations, shots that would force overtime or points in overtime. Will took a big step too. Kind of where's he at in your mind coming off of last season?
Will had a big year for us. You look at our guards, and we needed them to score a lot, but the 2 Arizona games, Will made the last play in both of those to win those games in overtime. But Will's not afraid of the moment. There's no doubt about that. We'll be ready. He'll take another jump. He's a worker, and the jump he took from freshman to sophomore year was tremendous. I'm happy for him. I think he'll take another big jump, and we're going to ask more from him next year. He gave us a lot this year, but there's more there, and I think he'll take another big step. And Will's fun to work with. He wants to be a good player, and it means a lot to him. And I know he'll work really hard to even take a bigger role in next year's ball team.
We saw how hard another guy, Chris Duarte, played. I mean, that guy is just the Energizer Bunny defensively and on the boards. And you saw once he got sidelined how much you missed him. Do you look to Chris and Will? We asked for questions from fans prior to this, and Nathan was wondering who replaces Peyton's leadership. Do you look to guys like Chris and Will because they play similar positions, or are there different guys that you think that you will look to be your leaders, or that are even your leaders now through this offseason?
Well, I think we'll have a lot of guys that are not afraid to step up and take that role. Will give us more. Chris Duarte will give us more. Eugene will be, a big lift for us. And, just because of his physical presence, I think he'll step up and give us some leadership. And we've got a tremendous freshman class, CJ, Chandler, Addie, Dante, Luke Were in that mix. We got a big sophomore class that I think will really give us, a big lift. So, but it still goes back to those seniors and the sense of urgency that, I always like some seniors on the team because it's their last year and they let those younger guys know that I know, I know you think you got a few years left, but I only got this year, and they give us a sense of urgency. And Shakur, Anthony, and Payton definitely did that for us this year with that big freshman class that we had. Those guys gave them a sense of urgency, said, hey, that it's about now. I know you guys got a few years left, but we want to be good now. And that's why it's always so important to have some seniors and some vets, that can give you that leadership. And no doubt in my mind that Chris and Eugene, the two seniors that we got right now, and we're going to add another one. And, and then you think of Will having the experience that he has. We're going to get some good leadership from those guys. And Peyton did a tremendous job with Shakur and Anthony, giving us that sense of urgency and letting them know how important this year was and this game is. And I expect the same from our older guys next year.
Yeah, you mentioned Eugene prominently, and it sounds like we're counting on him to play a prominent role next year. But sat out as a redshirt. Describe his game for fans and what kind of a player he's going to be for you guys next year.
Well, he'll give us some of the physicality that we need. Francis decided to transfer. Francis gave us that physicality, and Francis would have probably had to sit out next year anyway with ankle surgery and shoulder surgery that he's got coming up. But Eugene will give us some physical presence. Chandler, I think, will get bigger and stronger. CJ will definitely get bigger and stronger. Dante, healthy, will really help us. But Eugene is, he's got that experience playing in the Big Ten. He's big and strong, and he likes playing physical. So while some of our younger guys continue to develop, he's older and he's got that physicality right now, which will allow our freshman class and our sophomores to develop.
He was dealing with some injuries this past year too that kind of hampered his ability to get in there with you guys, but you described him as a guy who could pick up more than enough just watching you guys, which made me think, hey, here's a pretty high IQ guy. Is his basketball IQ pretty solid in your mind that way?
Yeah, it is. He's got a lot of experience. He's older. Just kind of like when Dylan Ennis had to sit out a year, even though he was sitting out, his basketball savvy, allowed him to pick things up. And Eugene's a student of the game, and he wanted to play, and it killed him to be sitting out. And so I know mentally he picked a lot of things up. And like I said, his basketball savvy is really good. And I don't think there's any doubt that he has a really good feel for all the things we're trying to do, and we'll be able to pick them up pretty quickly.
Dylan Ennis seems like a good comparison in some ways too to another guy who sat out last year, Eric Williams, because Dylan obviously had a lot of personality, really exuberant, positive force, and Eric Williams always struck me as a guy when you'd see him on the bench in games or at practice, just kind of like a Johnny Lloyd, Jordan Bell in terms of charisma. And I think fans are really gonna enjoy watching him just because of that positive attitude he seems to exude. But what kind of player is he? What's he going to bring to you guys?
Eric, you're right. He's got a lot of energy. I think he'll give us a boost there. He brings it every day to practice. He loves the game. And there's no doubt in my mind that energy will pick some of our guys up. There's energy givers and energy takers, and he's definitely an energy giver, man. He loves the game. He loves practice. He's always talking, and sometimes maybe a little bit too much, but I do like his energy. And, you know, every team needs that. You know, every team needs energy guys. And I like those guys that bring it like that. And Eric, you know, he'll give us a boost. He's a talented young man. He's a good athlete, very good defender, you know, and he's proven that he can score, playing 2 years at Duquesne. So I'm looking forward to working with him, you know, because he had a good redshirt year, and I know he's looking forward to next season.
Another question submitted by a fan, Dylan, was wondering who are going to be the glue guys on this team, which I think, you know, kind of different than a leader, but is a guy like Eric that with his energy, or are there other guys that just kind of bring things together on a team and make things work, even if it might be in kind of an unheralded way, I guess?
Well, we've been fortunate. You know, we really emphasize glue guys, and we put that on everybody. You know, sometimes you, sometimes me, always us. A lot of teams are destroyed from within. You know, because they get selfish and they start worrying about me all the time. And human nature is such that you're going to worry about yourself some, but when it overrides what the team's trying to do, that's when it becomes a problem. And you know, that's when guys, you know, it kills careers, and not only in college but the NBA and everywhere. You know, it's still a team game, you know, and you still need guys working together. And so I think every one of our guys is a glue guy. I think, you know, we don't have selfish guys. We're fortunate there. Um, you know, and maturity levels are different, but you know, I think the seniors will try to be glue guys because they know they want to have success. And you know, think back, we haven't had any individual success unless the teams had success. Joe Young was player of the year because we finished second in the league. Dylan Brooks, we won the league. Payton was player of the year because we won the league. You know, you're not on the all freshman team if you're on a losing team. You know, you're not on anybody's team if you're losing. And fortunately, we've picked up a lot of national television games because we win, because our style is such that people like to watch us, and they like the presses and the traps, and you know, we add some things. And so again, our guys want to be winners, and they know to do that, it's a team game, and they got to be unselfish. And the only way we're showing us cutting down the nets, the only way we cut down the nets is if we're a team.
That image of Shakur they just showed, looking up and seeing the nets, it always impressed me how much Shakur appreciated the opportunity that he got and the success you guys had, and the culture that you create allows that for a guy like him who comes in as a transfer. Reese was wondering about your success finding instant impact transfers, and you gotta have guys like Shakur who come in, take on a specific role, thrive in it. Um, you want good players when you're going to bring in a transfer like that. How much can you afford to put weight on those off the court or personality characteristics that are going to define how a guy fits in with a group personality wise, and how big is that for you in your evaluation process?
Well, it's pretty important. You get a feel for guys just watching them in their previous program, how much of a team guy they are. You can tell their decisions they make. Are they taking bad shots? Are they efficient? You know, we look for efficient players, and it's one of the first questions that we get about our players by NBA guys. How efficient are they? You know, do they make the right decisions? And so when we're looking at prospects to bring in as transfers or grad transfers or high school players, we're looking at their decision making, their efficiency, whether we think they are selfish players or whether they're playing for the team. Those are all things we look at, you know, because, you know, we want guys that want to play team basketball and want to win a conference championship and want to win a national title. You know, those are things that we look at on film. And are they making good decisions? Are they unselfish? Are they about the team? And if they are with their previous team, then, you know, there's a pretty good indication they will be with us. And so that's part of the evaluation process. And then when we get here, you know, I think the word culture is way overused, but it's one of the things we emphasize, that we're going to play as a team. We're going to win as a team. And you're going to make the right basketball play. And because not only that's what we want, but you all have aspirations of going to the NBA, and we know that's what they want. You have to have a certain degree of athleticism. You have to have a certain degree of talent, but you still have to make the right decisions. You still have to be an efficient player, for the NBA and those professional leagues to want you.
I think Payton did so much that it kind of felt like everything was running through him, and obviously you wanted the ball in his hands because he was such an efficient player. But he did excel within the framework of a team game too. Joe was wondering, when you lose a superstar like Payton, does that by definition mean you're going to have to share the ball more, share production more? Do you look for a couple of guys to fill that void specifically, or do you feel like this? Do you expect this might be a more balanced team in terms of your production, rather than how dominant Payton was last year?
It's hard to anticipate that. Will Richardson, Chris Duarte, I think they'll, take a jump in their scoring because of their experience. We do have experienced scorers in Eugene and Eric. But let's go back to the start of last year. We had 3 players coming back. We had Payton, Will, and Francis. And, we had a bunch of freshmen that were joining in, and 2 grad transfers and a junior college transfer. So we didn't know what direction the team was going to go, and we didn't know where the scoring would come from. It was just a matter of the guys working together and working with our coaching staff, to try to develop a chemistry, to try to develop, which direction we would go. And fortunately, they were all real coachable. They put up with us and they listened to us, and Payton, because of experience, his experience level, was able to take a little bit larger portion of the offensive role. But, I think we got a lot of guys that can do that. Will we be more balanced? We probably should be, because we have more proven scorers than we did a year ago. And all those freshmen that, we weren't sure what Chandler could give us, what CJ could give us, what Dante could give us, with Addy. And now we got Luke Orr and Jalen coming in. So, those guys are all a year older, the sophomores. And so I don't know. I don't know how the team will look. I try not to go into a season going, this is the way it's going to be. I try to go into every season going, let's, go through early practices. Let's, we usually have the summer and then, all of fall to go, okay, what gives us the best chance to be efficient offensively? Where is our bite going to come from on the defensive end? What can we do defensively to change the game, to dictate the tempo of a game? And, because of the guys' unselfishness, because of their work ethic, as the season goes along, hopefully you get better and you're able to put it together. And so we'll go into next year going, okay, man, we got a lot of vets here. How do we, make this work? How do we become the most efficient offense? And last year we did, our offensive numbers were off the charts. We were in, I think, 6th or 7th most efficient offense in the country. I was disappointed in our defensive numbers though last year, Rob. I thought we could have had a little better team defensively, and I don't think we were quite as dedicated to it as we should be. And that's going to be a point of emphasis with next year's team. Our numbers were, high 60s, low 70s. And I just don't think you can be a championship team with numbers that low. And when we had a really good team, we were in the top 10, top 20 defensively, and so we're going to get back and be a little better defensive team next year, but I still want to keep that offensive efficiency that we had a year ago. And I think we have the potential to do that, Rob, on both ends. Get better defensively, because those freshmen will all be sophomores, and I think they'll do a great job. And offensive efficiency, I just think, the guys are also a year older, and our experience level will allow us to have a very efficient offense.
Yeah, you've mentioned that those guys that are going to be sophomores a couple times, and Nathan was wondering about player development, and it's sort of a stereotype that you expect guys to make the biggest jump of their careers from year 1 to year 2, and I'm sure it's not perfect for every player, but stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. when you look at guys like CJ and Addy and Dante and Chandler that have that year of experience under their belt, where do you want to see those guys, or where do you think the potential is to see those guys take the biggest jumps from their freshman to sophomore years?
Well, right now, Evan would be working with them, our strength and conditioning coach,
Yeah.
and getting them all bigger and stronger. And that's usually, a big part of it. And then, this off season, the skill development, working on their handling, their passing, usually make a big jump between your freshman and sophomore year there. So the strength and then the skill development. But I think those guys all have a much better feel, for how difficult it's going to be, and how much work they've got to put in. They had great leadership from Payton and Anthony and Shakur on the work ethic, and that urgency that I like to talk about, and they get tired of me talking about. Fellas, let's make it happen right now. Let's get better every day, and let's make this season special. And you all look ahead and say, oh, I got 4 years. It'll go so quick. There hadn't been one player that's played 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It doesn't matter. They all comment how quick it goes. And you look back, man, those 4 years went. You mentioned 10 years. It's hard to believe that Reva and I and our staff have been here 10 years. It goes pretty quick. And so, you want those seniors to have the sense of urgency. And I think the freshmen moving to their sophomore year understand that a little bit better now, and we'll really pick it up.
You mentioned Jalen and coming in as a freshman. Let me hit one recruiting question. Connor was wondering, the G League has become a different sort of option, it looks like now, for players who maybe could bypass college and sign a pro deal. Do you see that impacting Oregon's recruiting much going forward?
No, I don't. I think the collective bargaining agreement here in the next year or two, there'll be one and dones. And, if a G League, if something happens, it's just like losing one to Kentucky or somebody else. It's just part of the equation. We want the guys that want to be at the University of Oregon and want to represent our program. And, we got guys, Tony Stubblefield works his tail off, trying to get players, Mike and Kevin. And, we just want guys that want to be here, and then once we get here, Josh Jameson works his tail off, academically meeting with them. And he's kind of the liaison there with the people over in the Jaquez Center to make sure our guys are doing well. So, it's a whole staff, and, it's getting good guys that want to work hard, want to, be the best they can be. And whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, our landscapes change so much, Rob. It just, I've done this 40 years now, and, everybody used to come and stay. Everybody was 4 years, and you might have one guy transfer, but most guys, but it's just changed, and you got to keep up with it. Fans don't like it. I guarantee you coaches don't like it either. I'd rather have guys, stay. And, I think, but how can you say Dylan Brooks after 3 years shouldn't have went when you see the success he has? Tyler Dorsey spent 2 years with Atlanta, and Jordan Bell won a world championship, and Troy Brown went the first round. Lou and Bowl and Kenny are all making it work for him. It's an individual choice. And I just want our guys to be successful. I want them to be happy. I want them to be successful, and so if they can be happy and successful here, that's what we want, and if not, if the NBA's a better situation, then that's what we want for them. We want success for the guys that we work with. And so we'd like guys to come and work their tails off. And if it happens for them after 1 or 2 years, 3 years, great. And if it's 4 years, that's great. It's going to work out for Payton for 4 years. I know that. We've had a million calls on him, and, people are interested in him, and everybody knows he can give a team something. He shoots it, he handles it. He doesn't turn it over. He tries to guard his position, and that point guard position, guarding in the pros, is the toughest one there is, man. You're out there in front, and guys like Westbrook and Harden, and that's just tough. But Payton will fight it now. That's going to be tough defensive assignment for anybody, but he'll fight it. And he'll do the best he can, but he won't turn the ball over. He'll make good decisions. He'll get the ball to the right people, and you better not leave him open, because he'll hit open shots. And so he has a future in the NBA. And a year ago it wasn't crystal clear, but I think it is now. And I think he'll have a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, and lest anybody be confused, you can be a guy who's here for 1 year and still fit into what you're talking about, guys who want to be Ducks. I mean, Bol seemed to be having the time of his life when he was here, and it was only 1 year, but he seemed to take a lot of pride in being a Duck and being at Oregon, even though I think everybody knew he might be just a 1 year guy.
Absolutely. And Rob, like I said, our game has changed, and we've got to stay up with it. Obviously we'd like to go back 15, 10 years when everybody stayed, minimum of 3, but mostly 4 years. That was easier for the fans. It was easier for the coaches, but that's just not where we are today, and not with men's basketball and the money those guys can make. And now you see, like you said, the G League offering guys $500,000, $300,000. That will change some things, but it still's got to work, and they got to see the results from that. And I just don't think it'll affect us that much. We're gonna get guys that want to be here, and we've got some good players coming up in the state. We've got some good players that we hope want to be Ducks, and if they become Ducks, they'll be successful.
You got a guy coming in this year that's a top 100 recruit, top 75 on some lists, 4-star guy, and Jalen as a point guard. How good of a situation is he coming into in terms of the veterans he's going to be surrounded with? Shouldn't be a lot of pressure on him that there might be in some other years if there'd been more turnover. Just how much can he grow given the guys that are going to be surrounding him as a freshman?
Well, what Jalen gives us, Rob, is a different dimension. We haven't had a speed guy like him since Johnny Lloyd, and I always, like those quick guards, that can change the tempo of a game. And he gives us a different dimension. He's not real big. He's 6 foot and 5'11", 6 foot, but he's explosive. He's quick. He gives us something different. And, as a coach, that's something you like, guys that can add something to the team, that can give you something different, can change the tempo. You think back to Johnny Lloyd in his 4 years, man, there were games where we were just stuck in the mud. We couldn't get anything going, and we'd put him out there, and he'd break a defense down and make a play and get our break going, get a steal, just make something happen because of his quickness and his explosiveness. And I think Jalen gives us that again, and I'm really excited about it. He's a basketball player, comes from a basketball family, and his mom, James, Lisa, they're, all in on coming to Oregon. And so really excited about him. I think he's going to be a good player just because he does give us something different. He's different than Will. He's a different kind of player. He'd have been different than Payton, and like I said, as a coach, you're always looking for someone who gives you something that maybe nobody else on your team can. And I think Jalen has that opportunity. And going back to Jordan Bell, when we got him, he wasn't really highly recruited, but I was like, man, he can block shots. He gives us something different. And we started with that, but then look how his game developed over 3 years. And, that's what we're hoping with Jalen. We're hoping that quickness and that explosiveness gives us a different dimension. And then, the rest of his game is pretty good too. He can shoot it. I like his decision making, but I think as he gets stronger and gets a little better feel for what we're doing, I think, he can become a bigger part of our team.
Well, that's awesome. It's a whole lot to look forward to. And we can't wait for next basketball season. We can't wait to be packing Matthew Knight Arena again and cheering for you guys, cheering for your squad, just cheering on the Ducks in general. It's such a crazy time that we're going through now. I think we're all looking forward to that return to normalcy and watching you guys. And as you've just laid out, there's a lot to look forward to. So thank you for joining us, Coach. I know you got work to do. The recruiting process never ends, for one thing. So thanks for taking some time out and joining us. And good luck with the rest of this off season.
No problem at all, Rob. And I sure hope everybody's healthy in the Duck family and everybody stays healthy. Crazy times we're living through, but we will get through it. And looking forward to football season. I hope everything goes off as planned. But I'm real anxious to get our guys back here and get to work. We got a good group, and just real anxious to get everybody back so we can get back to work.
Yeah, well, I hear that, and yeah, looking forward to football season on this end as well, and just again getting back to normalcy. So thanks again, Coach, and thanks to all you out there who tuned in for this happy hour with the Ducks, brought to you by Pepsi. We'll try to do this more and hopefully have some more big names. Hard to match Coach Altman, given all he's done, but we'll see what we can dig out of our back pocket and keep you tuned in, because again, we appreciate everybody so much sticking by us, sticking by the Ducks through these times, and we can't wait to see you guys in person again. Until then, we'll try to keep you tuned in and keep you feeling that connection, and that goes both ways, because we miss seeing all you guys too. So until next time, I'm Rob. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon.